what version of Anthony Davis do the Lakers need if they're going to repeat?
Well, the simple answer, Jenna, is a healthy one. That's the easiest way that I can put it. Obviously, with Brooklyn doing what they're doing in the East, with the amount of firepower that they have, and the Clippers being the Clippers, and Phoenix making a run with now a game manager and Chris Paul, and Utah having the best record in the year and the best role-based team in the NBA right now, I think the easiest answer to that question would be the best version of Anthony Davis that the Lakers need to have is a healthy version.
Antonio, I'm sorry, man. I got to push back on you. They need more than a healthy AD. They need the AD from the bubble, the AD that made me believe he could be the #1 basketball player in the world this year, the AD that made me believe that LeBron James will catch MJ. We haven't seen that. You go back to the numbers in last year, and Nick, I'm not a numbers guy. This is the lane you live in. But you got to go back to last year regular season. There was an uptick in his numbers from the regular season to postseason. That's why we all said, oh, he has arrived. Yep. He has emerged. That big shot that he made, that was his shot. It was like he's finally going to get over the hump, and now he's transcended into stardom. But what happened after the bubble? Those numbers went down. And it's not about, his field goal percentage. It's not about what he's done from three. The one that's most telling is from the free throw line. Nick, how do you go from 85% shooting at the free throw line to 71%? And the reason why that's telling is because this slump is real. When you are an 80% shooter from the free throw line, when you're 70 and playing in the YMCA, you're still an 80% free throw shooter. Something's really going on with AD. Laker Nation needs to be concerned because what he's doing right now, he's just a big body out there. He brings you some presence on the defensive side. He'll give you a few rebounds. But you need LeBron and AD to be sensational on the offensive end if they really want to compete at a high level.
Yeah, so I think the last part there was a little unfair. Before he got hurt, he was averaging 24 a night. I mean, he's not just a body out there, but he was not. Right. I agree with you, Brandon, that there was the thought he was going to jump another level from like that fringe top 5, 6, 7 in the world to competing with LeBron for best in the world. And instead he went from top 5, 6, 7 to probably 10, 11, 12 is how he was playing early in the season. Luckily, Antonio, for the Lakers, they're going to need Anthony Davis for 5 games. They need Anthony Davis for Game 4 of the Western Conference Finals against the Clippers when they're up 2-1, and they're going to need Anthony Davis for Games 2, 3, 4, and 5 of the Finals. That's it. LeBron will take care of the rest. They will beat Denver in round 1 if Anthony Davis didn't play. They will annihilate Utah in round 2 if Anthony Davis didn't play. Wow. The Clippers, credit to them for fixing some of their problems, and they will, and I think they are a real contender this year, unlike last year, and they will need Anthony Davis for at least 1 game in that series to win them a game. And then in the finals, whether it is Milwaukee, Philly, or Brooklyn, all 3 of those teams, you are either going to need Anthony Davis to deal with Embiid, need Anthony Davis to deal with Giannis, or need Anthony Davis with Brooklyn to exploit that they don't have a big. So you're going to need him through the finals. LeBron will take care of the rest. So I do need Anthony Davis to get back to the form we have seen, but that's to win the title. That's not to get to the Western Conference Finals or even the NBA Finals.
I don't think we're giving the teams out the West enough credit. I don't think we're giving Utah enough credit. I don't think we're giving Phoenix enough credit. I don't think we're giving the Clippers enough credit to actually say, and I get it, but to actually say that, you know what, all you need is Anthony Davis for 1 game against these teams, I don't think that's giving these teams their due credit. LeBron is fantastic. LeBron is fantastic. I get that. But to say, you know what, all you need is a healthy LeBron without a healthy Anthony Davis, and these 2 guys to be clicking on all cylinders to beat the Utah Jazz, to beat the LA Clippers, to beat the Phoenix Suns, I can't get on board with that.
So, Antonio, you call Pelicans games. You know Zion well. You see him up and close. What do you make of the comparison?
I don't understand the comparison. I don't. You're talking about 2 players that only compare in size the fact that they both were first-year All-Stars this year and are both left-handed. That's it. When you look at their skill sets and what they do, the way they play the game, the way that they approach the game, there are two completely different basketball players. And this is always a tough discussion to have because it's almost like if I'm crediting Zion, then I'm discrediting Julius Randle. Or if I'm crediting Julius Randle, then I'm discrediting Zion. These two are both fantastic players, but you're comparing a guy who has been in this league for a lengthy amount of time, who has played over 400 games, to a guy that's only played 80 games. He played his 80th game last night. So, yeah, I get the whole, I don't grasp the concept of the comparison, though. And we were talking about that prior, too. I don't see where this is coming from outside of the fact that so much is being made about Zion because we were just in Madison Square Garden about a week ago. That's the only reason. If Julius Randle is playing in Orlando or if Julius Randle is playing in Cleveland, we are not having this discussion right now.
That's right. Antonio, I think you were 100% right, but I think Charles Oakley was about 50% right. And I think the 50% part that he was right about was that you'll be able to stop Zion if he makes it to the playoffs. And what was most interesting to me, Nick, was you saying how dynamic of a scorer Julius Randle is. If we can show the full screen here. And this stat shocked me, that Zion has only made 16 points, 16 shots outside of the paint. Nick, I was shocked by that. So I think that Oakley is saying, look, these guys are both good. One is probably underhyped. One may be overhyped. And this is Charles Oakley. One guy is driving his team to the playoffs. One guy isn't. And when you get to the playoffs, he's going to be treated like Giannis and put a wall in front of him, like take away those buckets. And he's going to be less effective a scorer versus Julius Randle, who can hit from mid-range and hit from three. So I think Charles Oakley was halfway right, Nick.
Okay, he was 0% of the way right, and I don't even want to talk about Zion here. Zion is having one of the most efficient seasons in the history of the league. The guy was a superstar from the moment we saw him in high school in South Carolina. He was a superstar at Duke. He was the best player on a great team there. He's been awesome every step of his career. I need to now be the bad guy on the Knicks and Julius Randle. And you might want to take Antonio off the screen because I don't want him to catch shrapnel when this goes on the internet and people think he's co-signing it. But folks, stop pretending that Julius Randle is anything other than what he is, which is a nice story and a good player. Julius Randle is an MVP candidate. Well, I don't know. If we're going to have 12 MVP candidates, I suppose, because off the top of my head, who's ahead of him? Well, Jokic is, Embiid is, I would argue CP3 is, Steph definitely is, Kawhi is, Giannis is, Luka is, Dame is, Harden's injured, he's ahead of him, LeBron's injured, he's ahead of him. Okay, that's 10. You want to go after 10 and include Julius Randle, who I get it, Knicks fans, you're excited. You have a legitimate chance this year to win your second playoff series this millennia. But you are currently sitting with the same record as the Hawks. And what is happening right now in basketball media with Julius Randle is the player version of what happened 6 weeks ago with the Jazz, where everyone was like, I'm going to prove to the smart basketball folks that I'm not a casual. I'm going to explain how I love the way the ball pops with the Jazz extra pass. And now that is the Julius Randle discussion. Now it's, oh my God, Julius Randle. He's up to 6 assists a game. Did you know? Yeah, we know. He's also 20th in the league in points and 38th in PER and the best player on a mediocre team. Stop it. Everybody stop acting like they think Julius Randle can be the best or even the second best player on a contender. No one believes that. They just act like that. And Antonio, they compare him to Zion, who will win multiple MVPs. And it's like, oh, I'd rather have Julius Randle. No, you wouldn't. No, you wouldn't. I can't deal with it anymore. I can't deal with the Knicks. I can't. I'm sorry. My rant's over, but it's enough. It's enough.
Let me kick back on you. Can I fire back really fast? Okay, first, I disagree with you about Julius Randle in the MVP discussion. I do disagree with you about that. We have to give him credit for what he's done. And again, I don't like having these debates because what happens is we are talking great about one, which means we're discrediting the other. But I will say this about Zion, and I have said this about day one. I can eliminate Julius Randle from the conversation. Last year, when I got here, from day one, I watched every single practice from training camp on until Zion got hurt, and then after. And I said at that time, I remember going on the radio with you, Nick, and saying, this dude is one of one in the history of the sport. I have never seen anything like him. Rick Carlisle, what Rick Carlisle said about him, he said he's a Shaq force of nature with a point guard skill set. Let that marinate for a minute. A Shaq force of nature with a point guard skill set. I've never seen him get the fact that Zion's only played his 80th game last night. We aren't talking about a guy that is a finished product, a guy that's 6 or 7 years in. We are talking about a guy that's played 80 games in 3 different stints.
And the Giannis stuff is unfair because Giannis is so much older, has so much more experience, and the same thing has happened to him in the playoffs multiple times. But, hey, listen, because I know NBA Twitter is going to kill me, Brandon. Folks, I watch the league.
No, they're not.
I watch the league enough that I watched Julius Randle, forget as a Laker, as a Pelican. And guess what? Here's how his game has changed. He takes more threes now, and he's a better three-point shooter. He's actually slightly less efficient around the rim than he was as a Pelican. And he plays 8 more minutes a game, so his numbers have jumped. That's it. This idea that the Knicks are now some pseudo-fringe contender, no one actually believes it, Brandon. It's make-believe.
Right. Hey, Nick, Twitter isn't going to kill you. They know it. They see it. They understand it. What they will say, though, is, why'd you get worked up off of what Charles Oakley said? Uncle Charles is on the golf course with MJ, the GOAT, puffing on stogies. He's not watching basketball. We know this. Zion is in year 2, Jenna, and this guy, Julius Randle, took him 7 years to get to a point where he's averaging 23 points. Zion did that last year. Zion this year is averaging 27 points. So it's not even a discussion. And, Nick, you got worked up off of Uncle Charles's comments from the golf course.
Right.
Come on, man.
You might be right.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.